Let me guess, you're lying awake again, stuck between two thoughts that are ripping you in half. One voice says, "Stay, be smart, this is the logical thing to do." The other voice screams, "Run, you're dying here, get out before there's nothing left." And you're just lying there, listening to both, knowing that whichever one you choose, the other one's going to spend the next 3 weeks torturing you about it. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but if you do, if you've ever felt like your own mind is hosting a fucking civil war, you know it's not just indecision, it's not anxiety, it's not overthinking. It's being split down the middle, two versions of you, two completely different people living in the same skull, screaming opposite things, and neither one will shut up. You want to leave, but you also want to stay. You want to speak, but you also want to disappear. You want love, but you also need isolation. Not because you're confused, but because half of you wants one life and the other half wants something completely incompatible. And the worst part, you can't tell which one is actually you. Because they both feel real, they both make sense, and whichever one you listen to, the other one torments you with what you're missing, what you gave up, what you should have done instead. So you freeze, you do nothing, you stay stuck in the argument while weeks turn into months, and you realize you've lost entire chunks of your life to a war inside your own head that never ends. I know this, I've lived it. I've spent nights lying awake running the same argument in my mind until I couldn't tell which voice was mine anymore. Until I couldn't remember what I actually wanted because both sides were yelling so loud. This isn't about making better choices. It's about what happens when your mind fractures into two people who hate each other, and why it feels like you're being torn apart from the inside. Here's what this actually is, and it's not trusting your gut versus your head. That's self-help bullshit. This is identity fragmentation. You're not one person trying to decide something. You're two people trapped in the same body, fighting for control. One version of you is logical, rational, strategic. It sounds calm, measured. It says things like, "Don't be stupid, think long-term, protect yourself, don't let feelings destroy everything you've built." The other version is raw, emotional, desperate. It sounds urgent, sometimes frantic. It says, "You're suffocating, stop pretending logic matters when you're dying inside. Do what feels right before there's nothing left of you." And they're not just disagreeing, they're at war. Every single decision becomes a battle where one of them has to lose. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance, two conflicting beliefs existing at once. But that term doesn't touch what it actually does to you. It paralyzes you because both voices have a point, both have evidence, both are trying to save you from something. I knew someone who lived this for years. Their logical mind kept saying, "This relationship is stable. Don't throw away something good because you're bored." And their emotional self kept screaming back, "You're pretending every day. You're not happy. You're just scared of being alone." And both were true. The relationship was stable, and they were pretending. So they'd decide to leave, then panic, then decide to stay, then feel trapped, over and over, not because they were weak, but because two parts of them wanted completely different lives, and choosing one meant killing the other. And maybe you know exactly what that feels like. Maybe you're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because two parts of you know exactly what to do, and they want opposite things. Here's the thing. This didn't start in your 20s. It started in childhood. Maybe you grew up in a house where feelings got you hurt, where crying made things worse, where showing what you wanted got you punished or ignored or weaponized against you. So you learned emotions are dangerous. Don't trust them. Bury them. Use logic. Be rational. That's how you survive. Or maybe you grew up in a house that was all structure, all rules, all do what makes sense. But nobody gave a shit if you were happy. Nobody asked what you felt, just whether you were performing correctly. So you learned logic is a cage. It keeps you alive, but it kills everything inside you. Feelings are the only thing that's real. And now, decades later, those two survival strategies are still active, and they're fighting each other. Because the rational part of you says, feelings fade. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. And the emotional part says, a life based on logic isn't a life. It's just existence, and you're wasting yours. Attachment research calls this disorganized attachment. When you grow up getting mixed signals, contradictory messages, no safe answer, you learn that every choice has consequences, that trusting yourself is dangerous because different parts of you were trained to survive in different ways. This is why the conflict feels impossible. It's not just about this one decision. It's about two fundamentally different ways of staying alive that are both still running in your nervous system, fighting for dominance. When you're stuck like this, it's not abstract. You hear them, distinct voices, patterns of thought that feel like separate fucking people living in your head. The rational one is always there, cold and measured. Be smart. What makes sense here? What's the safe move? Don't let your feelings cloud this. You know where impulse leads. You've already fucked up enough times following your gut. So you analyze, you make lists, you try to think your way out, and part of you believes this is maturity. But here's what you don't say out loud. Sometimes I follow logic just because I'm too exhausted to feel anything anymore. It's easier to be numb than to want something. The emotional one fights back, raw and desperate. You're dying. You know you are. Stop pretending logic is enough. You're sacrificing your soul for safety and calling it wisdom. Do what feels right before there's nothing left. And when this voice gets loud, you fantasize about burning everything down, quitting, leaving, starting over. But the thought you never admit, part of me wants chaos because at least I'd feel something. At least destruction feels honest. The paralyzed one shows up when both are screaming at equal volume. What if you're wrong either way? What if both choices hurt you? What if there's no right answer and you're just fucked no matter what you do? So you freeze, you avoid, you tell yourself you need more time, more clarity. But what you're really thinking, I don't know which voice is actually me anymore. I've listened to both for so long, I can't tell which one is my real self and which one is just fear wearing a mask. The exhausted one comes later, after weeks or months of internal war. I don't care anymore. I can't do this. Someone else decide. I just want it to stop. And when that voice wins, you let life happen to you. You drift. You hand control to circumstances, to other people, and the dark truth underneath. Sometimes I make choices just to end the argument, not because I actually want them. I'm so tired, I'll pick anything just to make the voices stop. The judge is always in the background, relentless. Other people don't have this problem. They just know what they want. There's something wrong with you. You should have figured this out by now. So you shame yourself. You think you're broken. And here's what you think but won't say. I've lost months to fights inside my head that nobody knows are happening. While everyone else is living, I'm stuck replaying the same argument, wasting time I'll never get back. And beneath all of them, there's one thought that terrifies you more than any of the others. Part of me thinks if one voice would just die, I'd finally be free. But another part thinks the war is the only thing holding me together, because if it ended, if one voice won, what would be left? You don't know which voice is you. You don't know if choosing one means killing part of yourself, and you don't know if the conflict is destroying you or if it's the only thing keeping you from disappearing completely. This doesn't stay in your head, it shows up everywhere. Like when someone asks what you want for dinner and you freeze, not because you don't care, but because your brain splits instantly. One part saying, "Stay in, save money, be responsible." The other screaming, "Go out, live, stop wasting your life being careful." Or when you finally make a decision and immediately feel regret. Not because it was wrong, but because the voice that lost won't shut up about everything you gave up. Or when you wake up and your first thought isn't clarity, it's which version of me am I supposed to be today? This is why decisions feel impossible. Every choice is picking a side in a war where half of you loses. This is why you feel split. You're not living as one person. You're two people in the same body fighting for control. This is why you're exhausted in ways people don't understand. They make one decision, you make one, and then get tortured by the version of you that didn't get chosen. Research shows chronic indecision often stems from fear of self-betrayal. Not that you don't know what you want two incompatible things, and choosing one feels like murdering part of yourself. Here's something that might change how you see this. Not a fix, just a reframe. The two voices aren't enemies. They're both trying to keep you alive. Your rational mind isn't suffocating you on purpose. It's trying to protect you from consequences, from regret, from the pain of impulsive choices that blow up your life. Your emotional self isn't sabotaging you. It's trying to keep you human. Actually human, not just surviving. It's protecting you from becoming a ghost going through motions. They're at war because they both care. They just disagree on what survival looks like. Knowing that doesn't end the fight, but it changes something. Because maybe the goal isn't to kill one of them. Maybe it's recognizing you need both. Your logical mind has saved you. It's stopped you from destroying yourself when emotions would have led you off cliffs. Your emotional self has kept you alive, truly alive. It's reminded you that existence without meaning is just slow death. The problem isn't having two voices, it's treating every decision like one has to die. You can keep fighting, keep forcing yourself to pick sides, keep living like every choice is a war where half of you loses. Or you can stop trying to resolve it and learn to hold both. You can be logical and emotional, strategic and passionate, careful and alive. I know that sounds impossible. You've spent years believing one has to win, that contradictions mean you're broken. But they don't. They mean you're human. Learning to let both voices exist, to inform each other instead of destroy each other, is how you stop feeling torn apart. It's not choosing which version is real, it's accepting they both are. And that wholeness doesn't mean being one thing, it means containing multitudes without fracturing. Picture this, you're standing between two rooms. One is logic, structure, safety, survival. The other is feeling, soul, instinct, what's actually alive in you. You've been standing in the hallway, looking back and forth, trying to decide which room to walk into, which version to become, which one to kill. But what if you don't have to choose? What if the war ends when both sides realize they're fighting for the same person? If you're stuck between two versions of yourself, yelling at yourself, torn apart by your own mind, you're not alone. A lot of us carry that war. If you need to talk about it, I'm here.